It was 2 in the morning when I heard the knock. Not a normal knock. Weak. Desperate. Like someone using their last bit of strength just to reach my door. I opened it, and my heart stopped. My twin brother Derek stood there, face swollen lip, split open left eye so bruised he could barely see through it. He collapsed into my arms, sobbing. "They have been doing this for a year," he whispered. I could not take it anymore. That night, looking at my broken brother, I made a decision that would change everything. Before I tell you how I made them pay for every single bruise on my brother's body, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from tonight? Drop your location in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and stay with me. Because what happened next changed both our lives forever. Derek and I came into this world together 8 minutes apart, identical in every physical way. Same dark brown hair, same green eyes, same 6'1" frame. But that is where the similarities ended. From the time we were kids, I was the protector, the fighter, the one who stood between Derek and anything that might hurt him. Derek was different. Gentle, soft-spoken, the kind of kid who would rather read a book than throw a punch. He loved children, loved teaching, loved helping others understand the world. I joined the Marines right out of high school. Spent 8 years learning how to fight, how to survive, how to protect. Derek went to college, got his teaching degree, and found his calling in a third-grade classroom. I remember this one time in high school. 3 guys from the football team cornered Derek in the parking lot, called him names, pushed him around. I found out about it during lunch and tracked them down after school. By the time I was done, all 3 of them were on the ground, and Derek never had a problem with them again. That was just how it worked between us. He was the heart. I was the muscle. Before our mom passed away from cancer 6 years ago, she held my hand and made me promise something. "Always look after your brother," she said. "He sees the good in everyone. Sometimes too much good. He needs you, Coleman." I promised her I would, and I meant it with every fiber of my being. There was always this connection between us that people say twins have. When Derek was happy, I could feel it even from miles away. When he was hurting, something in my chest would tighten. For the past year, that tightness never went away. I just could not figure out why. 3 years ago, Derek met Amanda at a parent-teacher conference. She was there representing her family's company donating supplies to the school. He told me about her that same night, calling me with this excitement in his voice I had not heard in years. "She is incredible, Coleman. Beautiful, kind, everything I have ever wanted." They dated for 8 months before he proposed. She said yes. I was happy for him. I really was. But then I met her family. Gerald, her father, was a successful businessman, owned several car dealerships across the state. The kind of man who wore his wealth like armor and looked at everyone else like they were beneath him. The first time I shook his hand, he squeezed too hard and asked about Derek's salary. When Derek told him he was a teacher, Gerald laughed. Actually laughed. "A teacher," he said, shaking his head. "Well, Amanda always did like her charity cases." Donna, Amanda's mother, was worse in a different way. She never raised her voice, but everything she said dripped with poison. She looked at Derek's clothes, his car, his apartment, and I could see the judgment in her eyes. "How quaint," she said when Derek showed her his classroom. "I suppose someone has to do these jobs." I pulled Derek aside at the engagement party. "Something is not right about these people," I told him. "The way they look at you, the way they talk. This is not normal." Derek just smiled that gentle smile of his. "You are being overprotective again," he said. "They are just different from us. Once they get to know me, everything will be fine." I wanted to believe him. I really did. The wedding happened 6 months later. Beautiful ceremony. Amanda looked stunning. Derek looked happier than I had ever seen him. But when Gerald announced that Derek would be moving into their family estate, something cold settled in my stomach. "It is tradition," Gerald explained with a smile that did not reach his eyes. "Family stays together." Derek agreed without hesitation. He would do anything for Amanda. After the wedding, things changed. Slowly at first. Derek stopped calling as often. When we did talk, the conversations felt rushed, like he was watching the clock or looking over his shoulder. I started noticing things, little things that added up to something terrible. One summer afternoon, we met for lunch. It was 90 degrees outside, but Derek wore a long-sleeve shirt buttoned all the way up. When he reached for his water, the sleeve rode up just enough for me to see the bruise on his wrist, purple and yellow, the color of something days old. "What happened there?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Derek pulled his sleeve down fast. "Oh, that! Fell down the stairs. You know how clumsy I am." But Derek was not clumsy. He had never been clumsy a day in his life. I asked him to go to the gym with me like we used to do every week. He made excuses, said he was too busy, too tired, had too many papers to grade. When I suggested we go swimming at the lake, he practically flinched. "I do not really feel like it," he said, and changed the subject. For the first time in the 32 years, Derek missed my birthday. Did not come to the small gathering I had, did not even call. Just a short text message, "Happy birthday, sorry cannot make it, talk soon." That was it. From my twin brother, the person who shared a womb with me. I knew something was wrong. Every instinct I developed in the Marines was screaming at me, but every time I pushed Derek shut me down. "Everything is fine," he would say, "you worry too much." I wanted to believe him because believing him was easier than accepting that I had failed to protect him. A year went by like that. 12 months of phone calls that felt like talking to a stranger. 12 months of canceled plans and obvious lies. 12 months of that tightness in my chest getting worse every single day. Then came that night. That rainy, cold night when Derek showed up on my doorstep looking like he had been through a war. I brought him inside, sat him down on the couch, and got ice for his face. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the pack to his eye. I knelt in front of him, and for the first time I saw my brother completely broken. "Tell me everything," I said, "from the beginning." And the story came out in pieces. Derek would start talking, then stop to cry, then start again. It began with Donna. Little comments at first, calling him worthless, saying Amanda deserved better, telling him he was lucky they even let him in their house. Derek thought it would stop, thought if he just worked harder, did more, proved himself, they would accept him. Then Gerald started. 3 months after the wedding, Derek came home 20 minutes late from school because of a faculty meeting. Gerald was waiting in the living room. He stood up, walked over to Derek, and slapped him across the face. Hard. "When I say dinner is at 6, you are here at 6, Gerald said. "Understand." Derek was so shocked he just nodded. He told himself it was a one-time thing. It was not. The violence escalated. Slaps became punches. Gerald started using his belt when he was especially angry. Travis Amanda's younger brother joined in. He seemed to enjoy it. Would find excuses to corner Derek, shove him into walls, punch him in places where the bruises would not show. "What about Amanda?" I asked, barely able to contain my rage. "She just let this happen." Derek's face crumbled. "She cries," he said. "She tells me she is sorry, but she is terrified of her father, has been her whole life. She cannot stand up to him. No one can." Derek stayed because he loved Amanda, because he was ashamed, because he believed that somehow, someday, he could fix it. He stayed because leaving felt like admitting defeat, and my gentle brother had too much pride for that. But that night, everything changed. Derek had suggested that maybe he and Amanda could get their own place. Just a small apartment. Nothing fancy. Gerald exploded, grabbed his belt, and beat Derek until he could barely stand. "You will never take my daughter from me," Gerald screamed. "You are nothing. You have nothing. Without this family, you are garbage." Derek ran. Did not pack a bag, did not grab his phone, just ran out the door and drove straight to me. The only person in the world he knew would never turn him away. I held my brother that night while he cried, and somewhere in those dark hours a plan started forming in my mind. My first instinct was to call the police, get a squad car over to that house and have Gerald arrested before sunrise. But Derek grabbed my arm so tight his knuckles went white. "You cannot," he begged. "They have money connections. Gerald plays golf with the police chief. It would be my word against theirs, and look at me. I have no proof, nothing documented. They would destroy me and still get away with it. I paced my living room for an hour, running scenarios through my head. Derek was right about the evidence problem. Rich people like Gerald knew how to protect themselves, knew how to make problems disappear. If we went to the cops now, it would be a teacher's word against a prominent businessman with deep pockets and deeper connections. The case would go nowhere, and Derek would be even more vulnerable. "What about Amanda?" I asked. "Would she testify?" Derek shook his head. "She is too scared. She would never go against her father, not in a million years." That is when the idea hit me. I stopped pacing and looked at my brother. Really looked at him. Same face as mine, same height, same build, same everything. The only physical difference between us was a small scar on my left shoulder blade from a training accident in the Marines. A scar that nobody in that house would ever see. "Derek," I said slowly, "what if you did not have to go back? What if I went instead?" He stared at me like I had lost my mind. "What are you talking about? We are identical twins. We fooled people our entire childhood. Remember when you took my history exam for me in 10th grade because I had the flu? Nobody knew the difference. I could go in there as you, live in that house, collect evidence, record everything they do and say, and when they come for me thinking I am you, well." I cracked my knuckles. "They're going to find out that I am not the pushover they have been beating on for a year." Derek stood up wincing from the pain. "No, absolutely not. These people are dangerous. I will not let you put yourself in harm's way for me." I walked over and put my hands on his shoulders. "Brother, listen to me. I spent 8 years in the Marines. I have trained with Special Forces operators. I have been in actual combat zones. Gerald and his pathetic son think they are tough because they can beat up a man who will not fight back. They have no idea what is coming for them." We argued for another hour. Derek kept saying it was too risky, that something could go wrong, that he could not bear to see me hurt. But eventually, he realized I was not going to back down. This was what I was built for, protecting him. Always. The next 2 days were intensive preparation. Derek walked me through every detail of his life in that house. The schedule was strict. Wake up at 6 every morning. Prepare breakfast for the entire family. Have it on the table by 6:45. Gerald takes his eggs over easy bacon crispy coffee black with 2 sugars. Donna wants a fruit plate with exactly 5 strawberries. Travis eats whatever he wants and leaves his dishes for Derek to clean. Derek showed me how to move around that house. Where to step to avoid the creaky floorboards. Which bathroom to use. Where to sit at the dinner table. He taught me the rules. Never speak unless spoken to. Never make eye contact with Gerald for more than a second. Always apologize even when you did nothing wrong. Ask permission to leave the house. Hand over your phone whenever Donna asks to check it. I practiced the body language, the hunched shoulders, the quiet voice, the way Derek had learned to make himself small and invisible. It went against every instinct I had, but I forced myself to master it. Convinced them I was Derek at least long enough to get what I needed. Before I left, I prepared my equipment. A tiny camera disguised as a shirt button. A backup phone hidden in a compartment I carved into the sole of my shoe. A digital recorder no bigger than a stick of gum taped to the inside of my belt. Everything I needed to document their crimes and bring them down. Derek gave me one last hug at the door. "Please be careful," he whispered. "I cannot lose you." "You will not," I promised. "When this is over, they will never hurt you again." I drove to Gerald's estate as the sun started to rise. The house was massive. 3 stories of brick and columns sitting on 5 acres of manicured lawn. The kind of place that screamed money and power. I parked Derek's car in the spot he always used and walked to the front door. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. I had done harder things than this. Donna was waiting inside. She looked me up and down with those cold eyes of hers, lip curled in disgust. "You look terrible," she said. Did you cry all night after running away like a coward? Every cell in my body wanted to put her through the wall. Instead, I lowered my head and murmured, I am sorry. You should be, she snapped. Get to the kitchen. Breakfast is not going to make itself. I walked past her, keeping my shoulders hunched, my eyes down. The house was even more oppressive inside, dark wood everywhere, family portraits where everyone looked miserable, the smell of furniture polish and something else, something that reminded me of fear. I made breakfast exactly how Derek described. Eggs over easy for Gerald. Fruit plate with 5 strawberries for Donna. Bacon slightly burned for Travis. Coffee measured to the exact specifications. When I brought everything to the dining room, Gerald was already seated reading his newspaper. He did not acknowledge my presence, did not look up, did not say good morning. I was invisible to him. After breakfast, Gerald finally spoke. Come here, he said, still not looking at me. I walked over and stood in front of him. The camera in my button was recording everything. Kneel, he said. It took everything I had to obey. I lowered myself to my knees on the hardwood floor, fists clenched at my sides where he could not see them. You embarrassed this family by running away, Gerald said, finally putting down his paper. You will apologize. I am sorry, I said through gritted teeth. Sorry what? I remembered what Derek told me. I am sorry, sir. Gerald leaned forward. If you ever try to leave again, I will make sure you never walk properly. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. Good. Now get out of my sight. I stood up and walked away, rage burning in my chest like a furnace. But I kept my composure. I needed more than this. I needed them to show their true colors on camera. The first 3 days were psychological warfare. Donna never missed an opportunity to tear me down. You are useless, she would say while I cleaned the kitchen. Pathetic. The worst mistake Amanda ever made. I told her not to marry beneath her station, but she would not listen. Now look at what we are stuck with. I recorded every word, every insult, every degrading comment. The camera captured Donna's cruel smile when she criticized my cooking, Gerald's dismissive waves when I tried to speak, the way they talked about me like I was furniture, like I was less than human. Travis showed up on day 4. He was younger than me, maybe 25, with the build of someone who spent too much time at the gym and not enough time developing a personality. He found me in the hallway and shoved me hard against the wall. Miss me, teacher boy? He grinned. Been too quiet around here without you to push around. I let him shove me, let the camera capture his aggression, kept my hands at my sides even though I could have broken his arm in 3 places. Day 5 brought Gerald's temper. He had been drinking all afternoon, and when dinner was 5 minutes late, he grabbed a crystal glass and threw it at my head. I saw it coming and dodged, but made it look like a near miss. The glass shattered against the wall behind me. Getting slow, Gerald laughed. Maybe I need to speed you up. The camera caught everything. His drunken rage, the broken glass, the threat in his voice. Day 6 was Donna. I was washing dishes when she came up behind me with a kettle of hot water. Oops, she said, and poured it over my hand. The burn was immediate searing pain shooting up my arm. How clumsy of me. Better be more careful next time. I bandaged my hand, making sure to photograph the wound. 1st-degree burn, maybe borderline 2nd. She did not even pretend it was an accident. Just smiled that reptile smile and walked away. Amanda watched all of this from the periphery. I saw her crying in her room at night. Saw her flinch whenever her father raised his voice. She was a prisoner in her own home just like Derek had been. Part of me felt sorry for her. Another part was furious that she never found the courage to help my brother. By day 7, I had enough evidence to put them all away. But I wanted more. I wanted them to experience real consequences. I wanted them to know what it felt like to face someone who would fight back. So I set the trap. On day 10, I did exactly what Derek had done the night they beat him so badly he ran away. I walked into the living room where Gerald was having his evening whiskey and cleared my throat. Sir, I said, keeping my voice steady. I have been thinking. Amanda and I should get our own place. Something small nearby. We could still visit often. The change in Gerald was instant. His face went from relaxed to crimson in seconds. He set down his glass so hard the whiskey sloshed over the rim. "What did you just say?" "I said Amanda and I want to move out. Start our own life together." Gerald stood up slowly, deliberately. "You think you can take my daughter away from me?" Behind me, I heard footsteps. Travis appeared in the doorway, blocking the exit. Donna sat in her chair by the window, that familiar, cruel smile spreading across her face. "You ungrateful piece of garbage!" Gerald snarled, pulling his belt from his pants. He wrapped the leather around his fist, leaving the buckle end free. "I am going to teach you the same lesson I taught you last week. Maybe this time it will stick." He swung, and for the first time in over a year of abuse, Derek fought back. Except it was not Derek. I caught the belt mid-swing, the leather snapping taut in my grip. Gerald's eyes went wide with shock. Before he could react, I yanked hard, pulling him off balance. He stumbled forward, and I stepped aside, letting his momentum carry him past me. Travis came at me from behind, fist raised. I heard him coming, pivoted on my heel, and blocked his punch with my forearm. The impact would have hurt a normal person. To me, it felt like nothing. I drove my knee into his thigh, hitting the nerve cluster exactly where I knew it would do the most damage. Travis collapsed, grabbing his leg and howling. Gerald recovered and charged at me, throwing a wild haymaker. Sloppy. Telegraphed. The kind of punch someone throws when they have never fought anyone who could actually defend themselves. I ducked under it, grabbed his arm, and used his own momentum to flip him face first onto the hardwood floor. Before he could move, I had his arm locked behind his back, my knee pressed into his spine. "Who are you?" Donna screamed, finally rising from her chair. I looked up at her, and for the first time I let them see who I really was. "My name is Coleman," I said. "I am Derek's twin brother, and you just made the biggest mistake of your lives." The color drained from Donna's face. Travis stopped groaning long enough to stare at me in disbelief. Gerald struggled beneath me, but I had him pinned so tight he could barely breathe. "Amanda," I called out, knowing she was watching from the stairs. "Call the police. Now." She stood frozen for a moment, tears streaming down her face. Then something shifted in her expression. Maybe it was seeing her father helpless for the first time in her life. Maybe it was years of suppressed trauma finally breaking free. Whatever it was, she pulled out her phone and dialed. While we waited, I kept Gerald immobilized. Travis tried to get up once. I looked at him and shook my head slowly. "Do not even think about it." He sat back down. Donna started to reach for her phone. "I would not do that," I said. "Every second of the past 10 days is recorded. Every hit, every insult, every threat, every time you poured hot water on me or threw glasses at my head. I have video of your husband beating me with a belt, video of your son assaulting me in the hallway, video of you committing what the law calls aggravated assault. So, unless you want me to send all of that to every news station in the state before the cops get here, I suggest you sit down and shut up." Donna sat. The police arrived in 15 minutes. I explained the situation, showed them my identification, proving I was Coleman, not Derek. I gave them access to the cloud storage where all my recordings had been uploading in real time. The officer in charge watched some of the footage right there in the living room. His expression went from skeptical to disgusted to furious. Gerald and Travis were handcuffed on the spot. Gerald tried to threaten the officers, tried to name-drop the police chief. The lead officer just looked at him and said, "Chief Morrison is going to want to see this footage himself. I do not think your golf games are going to help you now." They took Donna into custody as well, pending investigation into the scalding incident. I stepped outside and called Derek. "It is over," I said. "They are in handcuffs. You can come now." 20 minutes later, Derek pulled up in my car. He got out and stood there watching as officers led Gerald to the squad car. Our eyes met across the driveway. No words were necessary. I walked over and pulled my brother into a hug, holding him tight while he sobbed against my shoulder. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you." The aftermath unfolded over the following weeks. Local news picked up the story. The respected businessman Gerald revealed as an abuser. His family's carefully constructed image crumbling in real time. Business partners distanced themselves. Customers boycotted his dealerships. The empire he built on intimidation and control started collapsing. The legal consequences were severe. Gerald was charged with assault battery, making criminal threats, and false imprisonment. The video evidence was irrefutable. His expensive lawyers could not spin their way out of clear footage showing him beating someone with a belt. He was sentenced to 3 years in state prison. Travis received 2 years probation and 200 hours of community service. The judge noted that he showed no remorse during the trial and warned him that any future violations would result in immediate incarceration. Donna pleaded guilty to assault causing bodily harm. She received 18 months probation and was ordered to pay Derek's medical expenses plus damages. The woman who once looked down on my brother now had a criminal record that would follow her forever. Amanda filed for divorce the day after her father's sentencing. She met with Derek privately and apologized for everything. "I should have protected you," she said, crying. "I was too weak, too scared. I will never forgive myself." Derek, being Derek, forgave her anyway. "You were a victim too," he told her. "We both were." They parted on peaceful terms. No anger, no bitterness. Just two people who had been through something terrible finally free to move on. The first month after everything ended was the hardest. Derek moved in with me while he figured out his next steps. He woke up screaming from nightmares almost every night, would flinch if I moved too quickly, apologized constantly for everything, even things that did not require apology. I found him a good therapist who specialized in trauma and domestic abuse. Dr. Patterson helped Derek understand that what happened to him was not his fault, that being a victim did not make him weak, that healing was possible even when it felt impossible. Derek joined a support group for male survivors of domestic violence. At first, he just listened. Then slowly, he started sharing his story. Other men in that room had been through similar things. Husbands beaten by wives, sons abused by mothers, men who stayed silent because society told them that men cannot be victims. Derek found community in that group, found purpose. 3 months after the trial, Derek went back to teaching. His students made him a welcome back banner that covered an entire wall of the classroom. "We missed you, Mr. Derek," written in crayon and marker by 23 8-year-olds who had no idea what their teacher had survived. He told me later that seeing that banner made him cry harder than anything else. Derek started writing about his experience. A blog, at first sharing what he learned about recognizing the signs of abuse. How isolation is often the first tactic. How abusers break you down slowly so gradually you do not realize what is happening until you are trapped. His posts started getting shared. Other men reached out thanking him for speaking up. News outlets interviewed him. He became an advocate for something that desperately needed more voices. 6 months after that terrible night when he showed up on my doorstep, Derek introduced me to someone. Her name was Sarah, a 4th-grade teacher at his school. She had read about what happened and approached him at a faculty meeting. "She knows everything," Derek told me. "My past, my scars, all of it. And she still wants to be with me." I watched them together at dinner that night. The way she touched his arm when she laughed. The way he looked at her like she hung the moon. My brother was healing. Not fixed, never completely fixed because trauma leaves marks that never fully disappear, but healing, moving forward, finding happiness again. As for me, the experience changed my direction too. I still run my self-defense training business, but I added something new. Free classes for survivors of abuse, men and women both. Teaching them not just how to fight, but how to recognize danger before it escalates, how to create safety plans, how to find resources. The classes fill up every session. Derek and I are closer now than we have ever been. We talk every day, have dinner together at least twice a week. We made a pact that we would never let more than 7 days pass without seeing each other face to face. No more missed birthdays. No more unanswered calls. No more assuming that everything is fine when our gut says otherwise. He told me something recently that I will never forget. We were sitting on my back porch watching the sunset, and he turned to me with tears in his eyes. "You did not just save my body," he said. "You saved my soul. I was disappearing in that house, piece by piece. If you had not done what you did, there would be nothing left of me by now." I put my arm around him. "That is what brothers do," I said. "That is what brothers are for." Looking back, I think about all the men out there suffering in silence right now, afraid to speak up because they think no one will believe them, ashamed because they have been told their whole lives that men are supposed to be strong, trapped because they love someone who lives in a house full of monsters. If you are one of those men, hear me. What is happening to you is real. Your pain is valid. Your fear is understandable. But you do not have to face it alone. There are people who will believe you, resources that can help you, a life beyond the prison you are living in right now. Do not wait until you are standing on your brother's doorstep at 2 a.m, barely able to stand. Reach out now. Tell someone. Anyone. The first step toward freedom is admitting that you need help. And if you are someone who suspects that a person you love might be suffering, do not ignore the signs. The long sleeves in summer, the canceled plans, the phone calls that end too quickly. Trust your instincts. Push past the excuses. Sometimes the people who need help the most are the ones who have been conditioned to refuse it. My brother is living proof that there is life after abuse, that healing is possible, that the people who hurt you can be held accountable. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to stand up for someone you love? Have you witnessed or experienced something like what Derek went through? Share your story in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear tonight. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who needs to know they are not alone. Together, we can break the silence around domestic violence against men.